I pledge allegiance to the
flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay. Carrie, would you do the roll, please?
Scott Keyfaber.
Here.
Carrie Piper.
Here.
Ian Kirshner.
Here.
Jeff Cooley.
Here.
Shane Moshua.
Here.
Harold Gordon.
Here.
Wow, that's everybody.
Whoa.
Nice. Let's need to look over the minutes. Any additions or corrections from last meeting? Pretty short, and there was very few people here, so I didn't notice anything that needed to be.
It was pretty perfunctory.
Yeah.
meeting.
Yeah,
We were out of here
It-
in, what, 12 minutes or something like
it was
that?
for business, straight up. Get some things
I make a
done.
motion to pass the minutes as presented.
I'll second.
Okay, motion and a second. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed? Okay, minutes accepted. All right, that gets us on to some new business. First on the list is, you guys all got in your packet the fees for the Connersville Parks and Recreation. I want to talk about our nonprofit rental agreement. We've been dealing with this, what was it, just over a year ago that we went through and we passed and made all the general agreements for pricing, and then we made a nonprofit rate for all those folks that come in, and we wanted to help out the nonprofit people. Okay, what we're running into is all the nonprofits are coming to us and asking for free, which we want to help out nonprofits. Okay, that's why we set the agreement, we set the prices, and we set the fees. But we're going against our own policy when everybody comes in here and asks for them. We also have to, I feel as a board, watch out for our parks. And utilizing the buildings, the structures, and having that there, we pay people to take care of them, watch after them. And it's our tax dollars that are utilizing those people to take care of those. So by going against our own agreement, we're going against our own rules. Okay? And one of the things that if you read there at the top of the general rules, the only person according to what we agreed to is City of Connersville elected mayor may sponsor up to but not exceed 10 city events per year. And we put that in there because that allows the mayor to make that decision. Okay, took it out of our hands. Okay, so I feel like we need to readdress this and get back on board with the agreement we made.
Is there someone who's asked for more than one free rental?
Probably people are asking for the Miller Building because there's no difference between the general rental and the nonprofit rental
Correct.
for the Miller Building, and that's the nicest building we have in town for the nicest places to hold events.
Mm-hmm.
And probably all the nonprofits who are coming are wanting to hold nice fundraisers
Correct.
and raise money for their nonprofit.
Right.
And there's no
So
real difference between a non-profit rate and the general public rate, except for if you, a little bit of a break on the more than 4 hours.
It's $100 difference.
Yeah.
So, yeah, they're still allowed the one free rental. But I feel like we're getting a lot of people to come and ask for that. Rather, always going through us. Okay? I don't know if we can change the wording to make it so that they don't have to come through us. Because our job is more overseeing that rather than giving stuff away. Okay? Does that make sense?
Your park board ordinance as a board is to oversee rentals and cost regulations at the park. This is an ordinance.
Yeah.
All our rentals are set by ordinance. We should not be in the business of bargaining, to my mind,
And that's
bargaining with people as to what their rental should be.
right.
I mean, the rate is the rate. You know, we shouldn't be
I'm just, I don't understand where it's coming from, to be honest. So if I need a nonprofit, okay, I'm Jeff Cooley nonprofit, and I come and I say, hey, Scott, I need this building one time free. Don't we give it to them one time free?
Not the Miller Building.
Not the Miller Building.
What?
It's on the next page, you'll see. The only ones that are for free are the ones that say one free rental per year.
Oh, well, it says,
The administration building, the Red Cross building, the pavilion.
Right.
And we
Yeah,
So
so
actually,
you're
not the
saying-
Miller Building and not the Roberts Building.
Not the
Not the nice
permanent-
buildings.
Not the nice buildings, not
Okay,
permanent structures.
Yes.
okay.
and we actually expanded that when we redid this. We expanded the nonprofit rentals to include a free rental every year of a shelter or the Red Cross or admin building. The
Okay.
Miller Center and Roberts Building have never been at a reduced
Okay.
cost.
Okay.
But again, this is what was adopted by the park board and then by city council, and it is an attachment to our ordinance. So we've had a frequent amount of requests lately, which has brought the conversation up again. I just don't feel that we should be,
Well,
the only word I can think of is bargaining.
Right.
I don't know if that's
Well-
the best word.
I-
Who does the public go to? I guess that's my next question. Because if they want to rent the facility, this is by ordinance. And who is their go-to person? Do they go to the mayor? Do
Yes.
they go to,
because that's why it's stated in there. That's the only person who can say, here you go.
okay.
Well, if it's an ordinance, wouldn't that have to go before the council? The mayor
Well, not if it's
enforces,
adopted by the council where it gave the mayor that permission, I wouldn't think so, but I can
Right.
ask.
okay.
Is this adopted 125, is that we passed?
That is when council passed it.
It is the
Mhm.
council, okay.
So
Because
what's the ordinance number on it?
I don't have that with me. It's our rental rate, it's an attachment.
Okay.
Which we talked about a lot, what we wanted to do with that.
We spent quite a bit of time
Yeah.
prior to that going through discussing how to handle it. And it's not that I don't think nonprofits are worthy, but we're also a nonprofit as well. We have to take care of our stuff. We have to be able to pay for it. My understanding was when Mrs. Miller donated the money for the building and had it built, it was to, once it was there, to be a self-sustaining building.
Right.
Okay, and that's the one that gets asked for most. And if we're utilizing, not bringing in money from it, but also paying the people to take care of it, that's a negative number.
Well,
Okay.
there's a certain rate, there's a certain attrition rate that comes with any building as it gets a little bit older.
Oh, yeah. So the goal is to hopefully keep it at a level where it is eventually self-sustaining. Once the certain things come off, then hopefully every year that it's rented out all year, comes in and it keeps the building up to par. Okay?
So am I understanding this, that where it says one free rental of one building or shelter per pier as detailed below? So,
Mhm.
so the Miller, the only ones that are available for free are the ad building, the Red Cross, pavilions, covered shelters, et cetera.
Every
Correct.
shelter, the pavilion, the admin, and the Red Cross.
Yes,
Okay. So the other ones simply are off.
off limits for one free rental per year.
And that is that one free rental, is that the decision of the mayor?
No, we just keep a list.
Okay,
So if Jeff Cooley nonprofit came and said, I want to use my free rental on the Liberty Building in August, fine,
okay,
we just write it down. And then when he came back in September, we'd say, no, Jeff, you already used it in August.
okay.
But if I wanted to,
Because there are other facilities that we have that would accommodate these events outside of the Roberts and Miller building too.
So, well, if I did want the Miller building, could the mayor say, hey, this is my, so probably that you
That's the
want
way
that,
it's
you need
written.
to go to the mayor, not
Yeah.
us.
Correct. Because we gave him 10 a year,
Okay.
okay?
We gave him 10 a year of what? I guess that's my question. Does the 10 a year that he has include the Miller building and the other stuff? Because
Yes.
that's not clear in here.
Well, yeah, you're right, it's not clear, but basically it's all inclusive.
Okay.
Because that's when Harold was mayor, we knew he gave away everything, so.
Well, but
One of the reasons I did, is there was a lot of people, like Miami University would
Right.
come in, and they would come over here trying to get jobs
Right.
for Connersville people. Well, if they hired a person from Connersville and they went over there, their kids got free education over at Oxford.
Right.
So it's hopefully, you're trying to hold these people in town, you know?
Yeah.
That would be the mayor's discretion.
Right.
Yep.
And I was just giving you a hard time.
I know, that's all. I miss it.
One thing that's not clear is $700 per day, because there's no place that says per day, it just says per meeting. And,
Yeah, anything that does not say per hour is per day.
okay, is that specified? That's what I was,
'Cause yeah, stuff that high is probably the track, isn't it? Yeah.
Yeah.
But Scott, this is what I have problems with. In the general rule number 3, one free rental of any one building or shelter per year as detailed below.
Mhm.
Okay, you cannot rent a building or shelter time period every year. Okay, you can rent the Epical buildings or shelters one free time. That would take, the way this reads, to me, the mayor still does not have the discretion to give those buildings for free. He only has the discretion to give the one free rental per year. And maybe that's just, maybe I'm not reading it correctly.
That's just to clarify that you can't come in and rent each facility one time per year. Like you get one rental for free per year. So you can't come in and rent the
Yeah.
Liberty Building, then the Pavilion, then the admin for one time each.
Okay.
But
But
the mayor
that
can-
could be interpreted, the way it's written, it could be interpreted differently. Because, and I understand where you're coming from, but I think that this is just really kind of muddy waters. That John Q. Public would have, if this is the rule, and apparently it is, then we're giving the mayor discretion, and he's following this. If they follow the letter of this,
The mayor doesn't have to follow that. The
No,
mayor
the
just
mayor-
gets 10 events.
Yeah, the mayor doesn't have to follow what's above,
the mayor doesn't have to follow the ordinance?
but
No.
that's why he gets 10 free.
He can sponsor.
And this
up
is
to
what
10.
everyone already passed. Like
Okay,
nothing
all
has
right.
been changed.
Okay.
Yeah, so
Everybody's
he can,
passed
it's
it.
his discretion to
Okay,
say,
okay. He can sponsor 10 events for free, okay.
And so an event could be whatever, it's not just one day, it could be like a job fair for the weekend.
Mhm.
That would be one event.
One
yes.
event.
Okay.
Okay. Well, thanks for the clarification.
Has the mayor used any of those sponsorships this year?
He used one for, I think maybe 2 for job fairs.
Okay.
But this is something I'm gonna sit down and talk to him about again as well. But like I said, my thing is just, I feel like as a government entity with our rental rates set by council in an ordinance, we shouldn't be wheeling and dealing, so to speak, with, well, you do some marketing for us and
Right.
we'll give you this building. That shouldn't be what we do. I mean, it just has to be more black and white.
Well, and the other thing about that, okay, we did talk about trading, marketing out for that. We don't have the staff to watch and make sure that happened. Okay, they've got enough on their plate. We can't go around and find out that, okay, they asked for it for free, we asked them to do this for us. they don't have time to track that down and make sure it happened.
So the accountability piece was
Right.
lacking.
Right. So rather than put that responsibility back on them to try and figure that out, I feel like we just need to stick to our guns and say, here, you know, these are the
So
rates.
like if the prom committee for next year.
Now, school events
Yeah.
are different.
Yeah.
We've
That's
already,
reciprocating
yeah,
agreement.
that's an interlocal agreement between the Fayette County school system and the city government of Connersville.
Okay, so like
Okay.
prom is just.
Prom is
how-
something
it's
totally
set- It's
different.
set aside, it doesn't have
Yes.
anything to do with this.
It's not gonna have anything to do with this.
Okay,
Okay?
but like the, shoe giveaway.
Hmm?
Can't remember who sponsors that or whatever.
Oh, Natco
That
credit.
would be
Natco credit.
then, they would either have to pay,
Correct.
or they would have to go to the mayor and
Correct.
say, Mr. Mayor,
Mhm.
can I use one of your free events
Mhm.
to pay for this building?
Right. That's how it's gonna have to work.
And potentially, could a person come to you, Catherine, and say, I have this idea for an event? If the Parks Department, you know, this benefits the Parks Department this way and it benefits my, you know, like, do you want to partner on this event together? Are you ever open to that idea? It'd have to be something pretty fabulous, right?
I mean, if you're talking about something like the Christmas party where Reed comes in and gives their shoes away, I don't think so, because we are having an event, and
But
then
like
they
the-
are coming in and doing something to,
But like the Halloween event that you
Something
had in
like
the
that.
park last year, that was like your event.
it was,
And it was a St. Gabriel's
Yeah.
event, and it
And
was a
everyone came
community
in and
event,
added
and
to
it
it.
was,
yes.
yeah, so it was like,
Yeah, that was fine.
yeah,
But if Reed wanted to come in on July 17th and do a shoe giveaway
right.
and use the Miller Building for free,
Mhm.
I would say, this is how much it is,
Or you can go and talk to the mayor.
or, you know, but I hesitate to send every
Yeah, you can't.
Sally and Joe to the mayor's office, but I'll have to talk to him about how he'd like to receive those requests.
That would be nice.
I mean, community events in general, what is it? You've got the Halloween, you've got the Easter,
Christmas.
and Christmas, okay? Yeah, there's
A
no.
lot of money
Yeah.
wrapped up in that.
Yes, but nobody actually rents the Miller Building at that time for those.
No, those are
Because-
park
Because those are
events.
park events, but we bring everybody in,
We partner with other people.
right, but it's a park event, so, I mean, they can use portions of the Miller Building, or they can use the different things for what they're doing, because we want them there,
But it's our sponsorship,
right,
yeah, and then we bring in other people.
right.
Okay.
We're just trying to, like she said, like Catherine said, make it more black and white rather than gray. Okay, this is it. You've got to work to find it otherwise, okay? Because this is the rule, this is how we want it to be. Keeps it a little more simple, keeps it more straightforward. That's what, and I'm a rules kind of guy, so I agree. I mean, when you start blurring the lines, then you've got people who then take advantage of that,
Okay.
okay? So that's my feeling. That's why I wanted to bring it to you guys and see what you thought.
Okay. I had another question on another fee here on the back page, actually. The one that has the spring and summer fall discovery camp. The local team practice, does this include teams that are in the park department program? I just don't know.
This is for travel ball teams only.
Okay, so the ones that are involved in the park, the program sponsored by the Parks Department do not have to
They
pay?
never have to pay, they never had to pay, they never will have to pay.
Okay,
The local team and non-local team was important to the baseball committee.
yeah,
Yeah.
They felt if it's a travel ball team and over 70% of them are from Brookville, we
Yeah.
want them to pay
oh,
more.
obviously.
But
yeah.
if they're all from Connersville, we want them to pay less.
Okay.
So that came out of the baseball committee.
Okay, But this does not, this is for travel teams only,
Yeah.
not for those
Travel
that are
teams only.
participating
Mhm.
in the Parks Department sponsored.
That's why it
Yes.
says travel ball team field rates,
Yep.
and then it lists them.
Yeah, because nobody local was gonna have to
Okay,
pay anything.
just double checking.
Yeah, that gets circulated on Facebook a lot,
Yeah,
and that's untrue, that local teams have to pay to use our fields.
mhm.
I didn't think they did, but since we've got the league up and running this year, which we didn't really have last year,
Yeah.
we've got kids participating, which is great.
Mhm.
So,
So, just need everybody's thoughts on it, because like I said, you know, we've got everything in place, it's always been there. I think we just have to, my opinion is to be a little more, more of a board rather than a broker for nonprofits.
Is there a list being kept? I mean, how is a list managed? Is it public or is it for this nonprofit is Greenfield, and paid so-and-so? Is that someplace in our?
A list for who's
Mhm.
used a free rental?
Yeah, who gets it? I only get
No,
one
we just
here.
keep it in the office.
Yeah,
I
so
mean,
they
it's-
just,
It's there, like a spreadsheet or something?
I think we just write it on a piece of paper, but we can, in a spreadsheet, it might be better. At least that's how Erica started it. I think what happened too was, we had been using that form for so long with the request form. And then we got this done, and then I think we just kind of forgot that, oh, we don't have to do that anymore
Right.
with the request form. So we're kind of correcting ourselves back to what we already had written down.
any more thoughts on that then? So if you, with the request form, we wouldn't need it at that point in time.
No, we won't.
Okay, so that should slow some of the traffic down. Okay,
But I will talk to Chad about how he would like to have these sent his way.
yeah. Okay. All right. All right, anybody have any other thoughts or discussion on that?
I think that rules out a lot of nonprofits being able to use the Miller Building.
I don't think so. I've worked with a few nonprofits. Most nonprofits, when you go someplace to do something, you take into account what it's going to cost you to be there. Then you ask, can we get it for free? Or can we get it for a reduced price? Or can we get it for cheaper? And if they say yes, you go good. If they say no, generally it's, most of the time, a good nonprofit will already have the money set aside to pay for wherever there is that they're going, okay? They know, being a nonprofit, that they still have to pay for what they do. So, in my opinion, the ones I've worked for, we've always had the money to pay that, but we still ask for it to get it for free.
There's
So,
certain costs associated with not-for-profits, insurance, all other different kinds of costs that are involved, and this would just be another one that would be figured in.
yeah. Because, yeah, like I said, I've worked with a few over the years, and we never went anywhere without planning on paying for where we were at. So, whether it was rental, whether it was getting our stuff together and putting it there. So, we always had plan A and plan B.
And I think, Carrie, you've got to think about this maybe as the parks community outreach is not through our rentals.
Right.
Our outreach is through our 3 giant events that we put on. Like, we put thousands and thousands of dollars into those 3 parties. And we go and we have a budget line item that we usually spend out. And then we have to go and ask other people for money to help us put these events on. And that's our outreach. Like, our outreach shouldn't be through an ordinance regulated rental. Like, that's not giving back. Our give back is these 3 events that we do every year. So don't feel like we're not helping the community by not doing this. It just helps us do the things that we're supposed to do as a park.
We're not
Yeah.
taking away from those,
Yeah,
okay?
that's how I think of it anyway.
And providing the park.
Right,
Well, yeah, that too.
as well,
Yeah,
yes. So
there it is.
unfortunately, you can't do anything unless you're spending money somewhere. So, and we have to watch our budget because actually it was reduced this year. So we have to be careful. We don't want to go negative. I don't think we will, but we want to make sure we have those programs that they do put on are continued to happen. Because last year's, what was it, the Halloween, that thing was tremendous.
Yes.
I couldn't believe the number of people that actually went through that park. So it does help, and those are the things that we need to focus our extra money on.
Well, and that one, we partnered with St. Gabe's
Mhm.
and some other organizations, and we had to handle the amount of, I
Right?
think we started at 4:30, and I think I got home at 10 after 9.
Mhm.
Yeah, it was a really long day.
So I think that's where we need to focus and not so much on stuff like this. Because really, if you think of it in the long run, it's not that big, these rentals. Okay.
Well, and with things opening up more now and people going out more, they're looking for spaces to have things, and they're at a premium.
They are. Especially outdoor ones now. All right, so talk to Chad. Let us know what he says. Hopefully it won't go too bad. All right, let's move on to other new business, the fair contract. You guys all got a copy of that. It's a running contract that's been going on for quite a few years. It's just upped every year. We also do a lot of, Park actually has a lot of outlay for that one as well, okay? And part of the agreement is that the club donates $250 to the department and an additional $600 for the porta potty elimination. Did you look up and find out when the last time that number was changed?
Not yet.
Okay, it's one of the things I was looking at, $250 for the week, actually prior to that. If you look at the electric bills and utilities bills, that's not even touching a third of what is spent during that week in those 2 areas alone. And we don't want all our money back on that, but I think we should partner with them in it because it does shoot the electric bill up. So I'm looking to maybe change that number.
Well, I noticed that in the contract, it still says Ted McQuinley. It might be a good time to,
Yeah.
he's no longer.
This is last year's
This is
contract.
This is last
yeah.
year's contract.
Right,
Yeah,
okay,
so
but I'm saying, my
dates and-
point being that it might be a good time to go talk to the new president about
Right.
it.
I think so.
Tom's been in, to talk about this, but it has, since it's a contract, it has to be approved by you guys first. And then I will take it to the fair board. Like, I can't enter into this contract with them, you guys need to be okay with it as well. So, we need to approve it at next month's board meeting
Right.
in a final form. But this was just to get everyone starting to think about it, because I was showing Scott our electric bill from last year.
During that time, and it shot up a good, what, 40%, 30%?
Our electric bill was like $9,000.
Yeah. Whereas normally it's less than 6. So, so yeah, that made me start looking at back, and I asked her when the initial money amount, because for the past 2 years, they've sent a check over for $800. And that's the total they've given us for. And we donate they get to use all those buildings that are in there, the administration building, Red Cross building, Pavilion, Liberty building, Roberts building. They just get them. okay? And I understand this is a community event, it's the fair.
It's fair.
It's the fair.
fair.
So, that's where, our part of it, sure. We, as the park, we don't mind, they get those buildings, it's a lot of people coming in, you're getting a lot of things happening. But we're also out a significant amount paying for the electric and paying for the utilities at that point in time. So I think that needs to be changed in how much they're willing to donate back to us after it's all said and done. Like I said, we don't have to have the full amount, but I think it needs to increase because I bet that's been in place at $250 for quite a few years.
Well, and it would give them the opportunity too, with their vendors, to charge them a little bit more to try to recoup it themselves, because it's the concessionaires, it's the vendors that are using the electricity, and they might need to look at those contracts themselves to see if, because I'm sure that that's
Yeah.
something that's factored into their contract with the amusements and with the concessionaires.
I'm sure it is. So I feel like that needs to be readdressed. So that's why we brought it up at this meeting, because it will have to be signed next meeting. But yeah, I don't have exact numbers. I need to pull a couple of months ahead and a couple of months behind on electric bills to make sure that we're within the ballpark. And, but I think we need to up that amount a little bit.
What did Tom have to say when you discussed this with him?
I've been talking to Scott
Yeah, she's been talking to
first.
me first.
Okay.
Okay,
And you haven't talked to
I haven't
Tom
talked to Tom yet, no.
about any electric up,
I have not. No,
he doesn't know?
not yet.
Okay.
I planned on talking to him, or I know Catherine planned on talking to him, but I didn't have time to call him the past few
He may
weeks.
be watching it now.
Yeah, he might know already.
Tom.
So, but yeah, I had,
Because I think all of their contracts with their vendors are already set this year. They do those in like blocks or something, maybe? I don't know. You'll,
Do they?
I'm
you
not
know,
sure.
from what
I
you
would
were
almost,
just saying.
They
Yeah.
do them in 5-year blocks, actually.
Okay.
Yeah,
Because we
so-
found that out with the start dates in the school corporation.
Oh, is that what happened there?
Yeah.
Yeah.
so yeah, I don't know how they handle those, but yes. And that would be information we need to know. That would help us to
Right.
make sure that we're not overstepping our bound at that point in
Right,
time.
yeah.
So, we don't want to hurt them,
No.
but we need some offset here because electric bills, as you know,
I think
as
a
everybody
lot of people maybe have the perception that it's an equal trade-off. Like, oh, well, the park, they use the park's buildings, but the fair takes care of the buildings during that week, so it's completely equitable. But when we're paying thousands of dollars for their electric and water usage during that week, it's no means equitable. It's,
Right.
we're funding their event. So, and maybe that's okay. I'm not saying it's not, but I want to know from the board your position on that. Because I need to present you with what's going on. Because I know all the fair contracts I've seen. So I've done, this will be my third. The ones from Jess were $850 or $850. And she was here for 5 years, 4 or 5 fairs. So for quite some time, and maybe this is one of those situations where we say, well, maybe we're a sponsor of the day one night, or maybe something's gotta, I think we need a conversation more with Tom and
With them,
their
so that they
board.
realize this is, this is
Right.
our normal June
Yeah,
electric bill. This is our
This is
July
August.
electric bill.
Yeah,
exactly.
This is the other, incurred cost, so that, they're made aware if they.
Right.
I
Oh, yeah.
think the communication on that one is key.
right.
I
Because
agree.
they go through the same thing, their water bill in June is one price, and then the water that gets used over on 14 acres
Right.
is
Sure.
astronomical.
Mhm.
Yeah,
Yeah.
So
So,
they know that.
yeah.
right.
And I feel they do, and that's why I wanted to bring it up here, so that way when we do talk to Tom and the fair board, that nobody here is surprised that we did bring that up.
Right.
Okay.
But as Catherine said too, it's the fair.
Yes.
And, the park is highlighted and people come and
Yes.
it's what our community is
Right.
all about. And we don't want it to not be the Fayette County free fair.
Absolutely.
Right.
Because, oh wait, can you pay a couple dollars for the electric bill? Joe, walk in the door.
Yeah, we're not gonna do that.
And I agree, that's why I mentioned, it is a
Yeah,
community
it's just,
event.
yeah, it's a community event, and so I think, you know,
I would almost lean towards something instead of a dollar amount, it's just saying a percentage of the difference in the bill. You know,
Mhm.
like maybe we'll kick in, that way it's fair, you know,
Yeah.
if you use more one year and less, you know, I don't
Yeah,
know. There's
that's
all
true.
kinds of things, ways you could do it, but
I think we need to talk and see what Tom
Yeah.
feels would be good for that, so. So hopefully we'll have some more information by next meeting, but you guys hopefully will think about it and, be prepared to, address that next meeting, because we will have to sign it next meeting, correct? Okay.
or you and I will,
Okay,
at least.
all right. Okay, so think about that one.
There's no, in this agreement, there's nothing specifically about electricity and water.
Yeah,
And maybe that would be something to add.
and that could be,
Just to. And
That's a good
maybe,
point.
as Catherine said, it could be this month compared to the next month. But meanwhile, that could vary with air conditioning, weather, all kinds of things. And so it might be better to have something fixed, or some, there's got to be a reasonable percentage of this bill, both bills, that could be assigned to July,
Mhm.
August, or whenever the fair is. And that should be expected. I mean,
right.
well, should be expected. So,
But that's probably a good point, is to maybe be more specific about something like that and put that in there, so.
and you could share with the budget here. I mean, this is the annual, we've spent about 20% so far on one, 70%, 65% on the other.
Mhm.
And so it's still, it varies.
Right, it does. So I'll bring that up with him. Okay. All right, we'll move on. The next thing on the agenda I have is the Park Road Playground. I don't know if anybody has seen it. What is that thing, like the monkey bar?
Bridge.
The bridge is
I saw
broken.
it.
Okay, so you saw it, it's
Yeah.
broken. I
It
highly,
had caution tape on it.
yeah, I highly doubt it's repairable. Repairable, satisfactory to a good standard, in other words. So what concerns me, how old is that playground?
At least 40 years, it's been there since I was a baby.
Okay, it's been there a long time. The money to take to fix to repair it, I question if it would be good money spent. Because I don't know that we can repair it to a standard that it needs to be. And then if it doesn't get repaired to a good standard and somebody does get hurt, guess what? Park's on the hook for that one.
Well, those toys have been up there for a long time, a lot of that stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Would it be something to just go ahead and look about, see if there's a grant out there somewhere where we can replace everything but new up there? I mean,
That would be a really nice grant.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, it's something, that's the reason the park board was formed, was to look for this stuff, so I suggest we look at it. Just, I mean, if it doesn't happen, it doesn't happen, but we can still look.
Well, my concern right now is that playground itself, okay? Either we need to completely block it off, and yellow tape isn't gonna do the job, okay? Because you know as well as I do, they're still gonna cross the tape,
Right.
go play on it. So that section that is broken either needs to be torn down.
I mean, I agree with you, because you can either look at it to take a lot of money and replace it, or take a lot of money and pay somebody for damages. So
Right.
you got one way to look, I would rather go ahead and build a new one.
Right. So, but in the meantime,
Take it down.
take it down
Yeah.
and start looking for a grant possibly, or start working on a budget to include that as time goes, but I don't think it needs to stay at this
Is there a
point.
way to measure the usage, the draw, like if,
Hmm.
I know kids, you see kids up there once in a while, like, but it's once a week or
We
so,
have
I
a
don't know.
chair and you can sit beside the playground
There's a lot of kids.
and do a tally.
We'll get you a little clicker you can
I bet you
count.
if you go up there right now, it's crowded.
No, but
Good
that's
idea.
where it's a draw.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it is.
It's really, a good- I mean.
That's
you're-
good
you come and
information.
just hang out for a while and.
Yeah, if we're going to tear it down, it needs to be replaced. That, I
Right.
think, we need to put
But
something
this isn't the
there.
first time that, that bridge has been broken.
No.
It was-
I'm sure it's
yeah.
not.
And we
I mean,
looked at
you
just.
replaced it probably like 6 years ago, I think.
And we looked at taking just the bridge off,
Mhm.
but then you've got those sharp
Yeah.
anchors, I don't know what those pieces are called, but that just looks really dangerous. And we have a similar plan in our year goals for Frazee Park, is to take everything down except the swings, just for the same reason, it's just falling apart, somebody's gonna get hurt.
Maybe we can have the Wizards come back in.
Grass would look very nice there until we can put something in. Yeah, I mean, that's a possibility.
Yeah.
So,
But I don't want someone to, be injured in the time where,
Right. It wouldn't be a problem for our maintenance guys to take down, would it? We wouldn't have, okay.
we even talked about, no, it wouldn't be a problem.
I think for the time being, that, at least that section has to be taken down. And probably the whole thing.
Yeah, we would probably, it's probably one of those things where you start and it's all or nothing.
Yeah.
It's all connected.
Okay, so I think we're in agreement to go ahead and work on that and see if, what we can do. There's always some grants that we can apply for to find ways to do that. Maybe we can get it done. Okay.
By the way, do we need to approve this version as a model for the one we're going to produce, or do we just go on?
No. It was just more discussion tonight, okay? Get you guys all on board of where possible things are headed, okay? Sports director, Dennis, what do you got?
We just finished up spring soccer this past Saturday. And we are 2-3 weeks in on t-ball, softball, and the baseball, which we ended up having 364 kids total in that.
Good.
And everything seems to be going pretty good down there. And other than that, we'll have fall soccer will be coming up. We'll be taking registrations about the end of July.
It's already coming around.
I know. It seems like it just ends and then it's
Yeah.
starting right back up, which is good.
Yeah, it
Did
is.
spring soccer end?
It just,
Hey, how was it?
oh yeah.
Was everybody
Yep, there
good,
wasn't.
happy? How many kids were there on that one, Pat? Do you remember?
Yep, soccer was about 397 kids. That was the
397 in
biggest.
soccer,
Yeah.
and 300 and what in your ball?
364 in the ball.
364 in the ball. That's pretty awesome.
Yeah, soccer was, that was almost 100 kids more than normal.
Let's hear it for the 10-year-old champions. My grandson's team. They were happy campers,
Good. Okay.
very happy campers.
It-
Yeah.
I did have a question. Somebody asked me and I didn't know the answer. Why the 9 through 12-year-olds, is there a reason they don't play on Saturdays? Why is it just on the weekdays?
Yeah, just games, those kids, they prefer to, and coaches too, they prefer to play through the week, and there's only 5 teams, there's no,
Okay, these
There's no
two guys
reason to
might be in the
spread them all
minority,
out.
I guess.
Yeah.
They thought it would be better to play like at like 10, 12, and 2 on
their
Saturday.
time
but
frames.
yeah,
Yeah.
so that's, so the majority of people
Yeah,
wanted
that
it.
7
And it
p.m.
could-
game is a
It
little
gets a
late
little
for
late,
Oh, I
9-year-olds.
know, but that's,
Particularly when it goes into extra innings.
Yeah.
We got out there at 9:30 the other night.
Yeah, that's what these guys were asking me.
well, it's
They
not,
wanted to
it's
know
not really the extra innings, it's the night that they got out there late. We had a mishap in the first game was an umpire did not show up. So when we got the next umpire, we actually started the game almost a half hour late, the first game.
Then
Because
the
these
sec-
games are on a 2-hour time limit,
Right.
so they're
Because
not going.
the second game didn't get started till like 7 It was almost 7:30.
Correct. It should have been 7. And that's all that was just a no-show on an umpire. And there's not a whole lot you can do about that.
No.
You get
Have you
somebody
ever-
down there, they're lucky to
You ever
get it.
considered playing them on Saturday?
There's nothing says we couldn't.
Oh, I just
Yeah.
wondered, just a few guys have asked me, I just wondered if that was a consideration. Okay.
Because I mean, because that usually falls into, but you never know how many of them there are. Saturday is actually probably the biggest day after school's out that everybody will be playing travel ball. And it's kind of like, that's the one day that I just kind of like to leave that day free because they don't have to choose. You know, because if half the kids are playing in the league, and then next thing you know, they're turning, because they get involved in the leagues first. And then when travel ball starts up, now 10 kids are deciding to play travel ball, and they have games the same
Okay.
days, they're gonna go travel ball, and then the kids left back are left with forfeits.
Sure.
Yeah.
Especially with the parents having to fork over money to play travel
Yes,
ball.
exactly.
Okay. I told him I'd ask, I asked.
Well, and I was glad to see some of the, Paige and Bailey and some of the younger kids down there doing the umpiring the other night.
Yeah.
Thought I like the fact that you had an adult umpire there supervising, but
Correct.
I was watching and they were learning. It was a good learning experience, and JR was doing a really good job.
Yeah, well, that's what JR is doing a great job. He's promoting it. He's looking for that age, high school kids to get involved and get started, and he's actually teaching them himself, which
Right.
is actually a really good thing.
Yeah.
And like you said, supervising them while they're doing it, because these kids are gonna, they don't know yet, and that's always why it's a good thing to still have that adult down there until they learn and they get some authority. Everybody's gonna just burn them up because they're kids and they know they can walk all over them, but we've got to get some more youth in there, because that's the biggest thing right now, is whether it's volunteered or they're being paid, is nobody's replacing the older people. You know, like JR himself, there's a good umpire, but he's the only one. The rest of them they get a little taste of going and doing high school games, and that's the whole thing, is you got to give back to your community. So we can't afford to be paying people in a youth rec league $50, $60 a game.
U-trip rates.
Right, exactly. So, and that's sometimes the problem with all your licensed officials.
Right.
They're not gonna come and do it when they can be going somewhere else. So you get the youth to come in,
Well,
and Bailey and Paige, both
Bailey
of
and
them guys
Paige.
did a good job.
Bailey did a wonderful job behind the plate the other night. She just
Yep. And I believe, other than coach's pitch, that was her first game too, is
really.
really getting back there and calling balls and strikes.
Well, it was just good to see, because she was getting a little rattled sometimes, and JR was really good to call her over and just say, you're fine, this is where the strike zone is. Really very instructive as to pointing it out to her, and it calmed a lot of parents, and it calmed a lot of people. This is okay, these are kids that are learning, but we've got an adult here that's helping them learn.
Right.
And there were a couple of things with the rules that they weren't quite sure of, but JR was right there to say, okay, that's not quite how it is, and we got it straightened out. It was a real positive experience.
Yep.
Okay, very good. Sounds good. All right, moving on to our superintendent's report.
I think the only updates since I submitted this, the pool is full, going well. I did finally get a written bid on that column, and that's been submitted to insurance. Other than that, there's no real updates to the report you got unless you have questions about it.
The temperature of the water is not cool.
It was 69. And there was an alarm going off that it was too cold. But it'll warm up.
Yeah, it will warm up, yeah.
It's supposed to be 90 tomorrow, it'll
Yeah, and then it's gonna be 65 on Saturday.
Yeah.
Like, oh man. It's gonna be a cold one in the pool.
And what, to Spring Mill Park this weekend, and they have one of those indoor-outdoor, and you can swim to the outdoor, and the pool is about 90 degrees. I don't know, it was really warm.
Wow.
It was
Don't tell anybody
quite
that.
comforting. We got it.
Yeah, I don't have any questions. Anybody got anything for her?
Nope.
Okay. All right, we'll move on to old business. I don't think we got any, do we? Anybody got anything they want to bring up in old business? Okay. Miscellaneous business. Nope. Okay. Everybody look over claims, including payroll, please.
Yeah, I had one question. I just hadn't seen it before. There was something, I circled it, for signs, $1,250 for,
Where are you at?
huh?
Where are you at?
Oh, I gotta find it here.
Would be for these,
Oh,
Maybe.
the $1,250?
Wait a minute. It might be my eyeballs, actually. Okay. My bad. It's $1,250, but it's actually the softball, so I understand that completely. I thought it was the sign, it was the $1,250. It's my bad eyes, sorry about that.
Okay.
Yeah, I know, I do.
Oh, use your paper.
I use my paper, yeah. Can't trust the trifocals anymore. Okay, that's fine. That was my bad.
Okay. I need to pass claims and payroll.
I move we accept claims and payroll.
Got a first,
Second.
got a second. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, like sign. Okay. Claims and payroll have been passed. All right, and then we move on to public forum.
I came in basic math, record calculus, no. Basically, we're looking at 2022. COVID nailed us twice. And I think we were on the edge for this year, but I didn't want to do it.
Okay.
I've lost 7 people to COVID. The maintenance director for the county just got out of the hospital. It has been rough, and I would feel guilty to subject anybody to that, so I didn't do it. Listening to what's going on, I think what we're doing is different from anybody else, because you're talking about people who have given everything, including their lives, and this is not something that I see a parallel to. I understand financial, that's not the question. The use of buildings is 1 day, although we're looking at the lands for 3 days. But we're not, at this point in time, talking about the Miller building or the Roberts building. There could be a possibility with the people we're trying to bring in, but that would be their burden, not ours. The situation, yeah, we all have to look at financial. The ramp that I have to climb went up several degrees financially, but I'm not sure where you all stand on that. I don't know even financially how to approach that. I just know that every time I turn around, I just look at the insurance. We've got to pay $1,000 for that. So every time we look, we're doing more. And there is a cost associated with that, but our biggest thing is giving back to the people who have given so much. As I said, this is not something you can run a parallel to, and I think if there is anything that could be a cooperative agreement with the park board, I think the armed forces. There are many things tied to this, and one that is particularly important to me is saving lives. Last year, I know two particular cases where there were two people who were ready to end it all. They'd seen too much, but they saw brothers in arms and they got a new lease on life. That's everything. And in this particular case, we're, as I said, our day of activity is Saturday. The day before and the day after, we really don't need buildings for that, but we do need a fairway and the grounds. And the amphitheater. But I don't know financially where you're at for what we desire. And that is the change in the angle that I've got to find. It's all donation, and I'll be quite honest with you, the majority of money that's come to make this happen has come out of my pocket. And that's fine with me. I'm not a wealthy person. I'm a former plastic spoon on that, and I had a broken handle, so I don't know what the other side of that is, but I know what it's like to lose friends. And I know what it's like to see people suffer. And there's a lot going on right now. We just buried a friend of mine who fell in the store and cracked his skull, and he was gone a week and a half later. So life changes quickly. We're a year out right now, and I put my request in. Those requests had an option of the Miller Building and the Roberts Building, but that is not on my immediate radar right now. I'm looking at the lands and the small buildings, and I hate to have to look at, saying, no, we can't do this because we can't raise the money. I don't know how much we're gonna have to raise. I don't know what your charges would be. But, we've got to do it. We've got to reach out to people. I've had people from Wright Patterson say, you're gonna do it again. We had the top ranking officer from there here last, 2 years ago. So, I would say use the park board. If there was one to partner with, I think this would be it.
I think if you give me a chance to talk with Chad, I think this is something that you would go to him about as a city sponsor.
I was gonna say, isn't this a city planned event? I mean, don't you coordinate with the city at
No.
all? You have never, it's not gonna city,
But I think this is a good community thing
Oh, absolutely.
that
I was
could
always
be,
under the impression
I
it
think it
was.
could be dealt with.
It highlights the park.
Right.
The event was streamed to 7 different states, first time.
Are you doing the parade this year? Okay.
No.
Next
thank you.
year.
You're gonna wait till next year, even do the parade too?
Yeah, we're past that timeline.
Okay,
We're locked into the official Armed Forces Day,
okay,
and next year will be what we're looking at is the 20th or
Okay.
22nd. And I want everybody involved, because we've got another group that's talking about coming in, and I think in the long run, we could build to an extent that we could say, hey, here's money back.
mhm,
We've got a road to get there, and having been subjected to COVID for 2 years, we've had to sit out. And now we've got people saying, okay, you're gonna do it again. Well, yeah, I'm gonna be updating the website and get ready for that. So, yes, we want that time frame, and that's, my purpose here tonight to make that clear. Yeah, we want that time.
Because, you're gonna have to go to the Board of Works anyway to get your roads closed.
Right.
And so while you're there, this is the time to get the mayor to go ahead and okay this.
right.
This is the time to do it. And that way
Well,
you can lock it in.
that's a given.
Yeah,
That is a given. And I also have to do the same thing with the state.
yep.
Um,
You going down Park Road again?
Yeah, that's state highway.
Yeah.
In fact, I've already got that taken care of. It includes streets to park on, to block and all those things, so you're right, yeah, we do. The bottom line for me is this: without you, we're just looking at the parade,
Right.
and we can't. we gotta spread our wings. Yes,
Excuse me, sir. Could you say your name and your organization? I know many people know you, but I don't.
my name is Adrian Ellis. My official title is Director of Fayette County Emergency Management, Homeland Security. This is for the Armed Forces Weekend, and that is the program. I guess I'm the chairman, if you want to give me a title with that. I look at myself as just a grunt. We're doing this for the community, but this community has played such a big part. You know, if you go to the Eisenhower Museum, Connersville is mentioned there, because per capita, more veterans came from Fayette County than any other place. And so many Jeep bodies were made here that we stand out, and that in and of itself ties a lot of things together. Our local industry, our chamber, and all these other people. This is the basis for a great community event, that we can highlight a lot of things that, you know, can be a job fair. That we've talked to the Veterans Affairs about coming over, looking at counseling for a lot of people suffering right now. I serve on Homeland Security's task force. I'm a strike team leader for psychological first aid that deals with victims and first responders who've had too much. This event adds that for the people there. So it's more than just a weekend event. It's a community event that touches the world, and we're looking to touch a lot of hearts, save some minds, give that person that 30 seconds to think about not calling it a day. And that's why I'm here.
Well, I will get back with you as soon as I talk to the mayor
Okay.
about how he wants to receive requests.
And we want to promote the park. You know, I've got a website up, and sometime I'd love to come up and do a lot of photography on the Miller Building and everything else, that when people look at that website, they think, well, hey, this is available. You know, have links to you that they can contact you for an event, something like that. And the fact that so many states are now seeing what we're doing and they're carrying it home. You know, there was a guy who came here from California just to see it. So that's how you grow. You plant seeds.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks, Adrian.
My pleasure.
All right. Doesn't look like the audience is too full, so I just need a motion to adjourn.
Nobody wants to leave. I'll make the motion.
Okay, got a motion to
I
adjourn, a
can't make
second.
that motion.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Meeting adjourned.